What's going on, everyone? It's Nick, and before we begin, please remember to like the video. Only takes 1 second, really helps out. And if you're new here, please remember to subscribe. I cover basketball, baseball, and football on this channel. If you love any of those three sports, this is a place for you. Also, please remember to hit that notification bell. And links to my social media are in the description. So before we get going with this video, rest in peace Terrence Clark. My deepest condolences to his family. Also, whenever you're driving, I don't mean this as an insult to Terrence Clark in any way, shape, or form. The dude did just lose his life, and I really am sorry for that. And the fact that he was on his way to the NBA and now won't be able to see the day he plays in the NBA, it really is tragic. But also, please just let this be a lesson for everyone to please wear your seatbelt and drive safely. But for now, once again, deepest condolences to his family and a moment of silence for Terrence Clark. Okay, so now let's cue the intro and let's talk about a team that I haven't really talked much about on here. Let's cue the intro. So, when I made my Denver Nuggets video, I felt like I'm talking too much about the LA and New York teams and not enough about other teams, and that video happened to do really well. And now I thought I'd cover another team that I haven't covered much of, and that is the Washington Wizards. And they just had an 8-game winning streak. This is their longest winning streak since December of 2001 when Michael Jordan was on the team. That's right, the Wizards never even won 8 straight when John Wall was running the show. Nor did they ever win 8 in a row when Gilbert Arenas, Antoine Jamison, and Caron Butler were on the team. And that winning streak did just come to an end, but I planned on the Steph Curry video, and then he had a bad game. And then I planned on this video, and then the Wizards lost, but I'm still going to go through with this video because I don't want to feel like I just planned all of this out for nothing. So I'm going to talk about how the Washington Wizards were able to get on their 8-game winning streak and to be able to come back from looking like they were dead in the water to looking like they actually have a shot at being in the play-in tournament. They're the 10th seed right now. If the season ended today, they would be in the play-in tournament, and hey, maybe they could even get a playoff spot after being so abysmal for much of the early portion of the season. Now, I'm going to start with Bradley Beal. And I'm guilty of this myself for saying that he needs to ask out of DC. But you know what? I think many people, including myself, should have put the brakes on that, because now look what's happening with the team. And for the fact that he didn't ask out of DC and the fact that he's seeing some team success there, honestly, I gotta respect that. And especially for the fact that he didn't do what James Harden did to get out of Houston at all. The fact that he actually decided to stick it out, and now the Wizards have actually played some pretty good basketball lately. Now, do I think that he's ever gonna win a championship in DC? No. But for the fact that he's willing to stay loyal to the team regardless, I respect that. And the fact that he's able to put up as many points as he is, that is impressive. However, there are still some things he could do better, like defense. So it's not like he's totally above criticism just because of the team around him. In this overtime loss to the Spurs, Beal scored 45 points, and like as impressive as that is, he was also 3 of 9 in the fourth quarter. His last bucket of regulation, though, that was a great finish at the rim. And he did make things happen in overtime, but I do still think that to some extent he should be held accountable. But still, overall, Bradley Beal, for the fact that he's been willing to stick it out with the Wizards regardless of the bad situation, I definitely have some respect for that. Now, I'm not sure how Scott Brooks managed to keep his job this year. Like, I thought that there was no way he was gonna last the whole season, but here he is now. But you know what else? Like, they kind of had an easy schedule lately. I mean, they did beat the Jazz, and yes, that was without Mike Conley, but they did still have Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and Donovan Mitchell scored 42 points in that game. But other than that, though, it wasn't really that tough of a schedule, and I still don't think that Scott Brooks is going to be the guy to get them to the next level. And I really do think that it's mostly because of Russell Westbrook getting healthy and raising the floor for this team, and also what Daniel Gafford has done for this team team defensively. This team has played some really inspired defense. Okay, I think Scott Brooks may deserve some credit for that, but if you're a Wizards fan and you're watching this, you can feel free to let me know if you still want Scott Brooks gone. But just my opinion, okay, he's not the worst coach in the league, but I still don't think he's going to be the guy to get your team to the next level.
I think we could still agree, though, that he was just really blessed with a lot of talent when he was coaching OKC.
And considering the fact that the Wizards started the season 6-17 and are now 27-34 with 11 games left, regardless of the schedule, I am still impressed. It doesn't seem like very long ago when they were a bottom 2 defense going into February, and they've gotten themselves to 20th in defensive rating, which is still below league average, but still way better than they were last year or earlier in the season. They were actually 18th before this game against the Spurs, and in fact, during that 8-game winning streak, they actually had the second best defense in the league. The Lakers were 19th though, ouch. Yet the Lakers still have the best defensive rating in the league this year. And I know, giving up 146 points isn't good. Even in an overtime game, they gave up 133 in regulation. That definitely explains them dropping 2 spots in defensive rating for the season in just one game this late in the season. But I guess to cut them some slack, they were playing a back-to-back. And ironically enough, during that stretch where the Wizards had their 8-game winning streak, the Spurs were the only team with a better defensive rating than them. And we expected the Wizards' offense to be what gets them a low-seeded playoff seed, right? Well, they were 12th in offensive rating during that 8-game winning streak, but then they put up 143 points last night and they lost. And Alex Len, 17 points in this game. That's actually a season high for him. I mean, that's not very impressive for a season high, but he had a couple of nice dunks on Jakob Poeltl though. Now, early in the season, the Wizards lost Thomas Bryant to a torn ACL, but Daniel Gafford has really elevated his play in Washington, going from 4.7 points, 3.3 rebounds, and 1.1 blocks on the Bulls to 10.9 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. And going back to that win against the Jazz that I mentioned earlier, Gafford scored 15 points in 18 minutes off the bench. I watched the highlights of the game against the Cavs and saw Gafford being in the right place at the right time a lot and running the floor really well. Sorry I didn't actually get to watch that game though, but I'm making up for it by doing as much research as I can and watching whatever I can. And although this didn't count because Garrison Matthews was called for a blocking foul, Gafford definitely did get a clean block on Jared Allen though. And unless I missed something though, it looked like Garrison Matthews was easily out of the restricted area on that play. But it's not like Gafford's just doing the bare minimum of being a better defensive player than Thomas Bryant. No, Daniel Gafford is actually making a difference on defense. And although Gafford's not as good of a scorer as Thomas Bryant, why should he need to be when this team already has Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook? And let's also talk about Russell Westbrook, because him being healthy has made a really big difference. Early on in the season, it looked like we were seeing his decline right in front of our eyes, but it's not looking like that anymore. So Westbrook in the first half of the season was averaging 20.3 points, 9.8 assists, and 9.7 rebounds in 36 minutes per game. But since the All-Star break, he's averaging a triple-double. Yeah, that's not anything new from him, right? But he's averaging 23.3 points, 12.1 assists, and 12.3 rebounds per game. And yeah, he is also turning the ball over more. I'm not sure what the turnover percentage is, but in more minutes now. And he went from averaging 4.8 turnovers at the All-Star break to 5.3. But for the most part, after spending much of the early part of the season hurt and looking like he was on the decline, I really respect the fact that he has not given up. And like, say what you want about him if you think he's selfish or he's a stat padder or not a winning player, but I definitely respect the dog in him for him to not give up and really do what he can to get this team that looked like they were dead in the water to the playoffs. And he's also made Daniel Gafford better. Let's not forget that. Oh, and this may make you think,
what?
But he is leading the league in clutch field goal percentage this year. I mean, I guess you can take that with a grain of salt, but I'd say that he has to be doing something right to be leading the league in clutch field goal percentage. And it's not even just what he's doing on offense, but also on defense, because the Wizards have gotten a lot better on defense lately, and Russ has certainly had plenty to do with it. And Russ's defense on DeMar DeRozan's attempted game winner, that was some really good defense. And yeah, DeMar did have his way against the Wizards for most of the game, but that last shot in regulation, Russ defended that really well. And he also played some great defense on Steph Curry a few nights ago, and that's what stopped me from making the Steph Curry video that I had planned, but perhaps I will go through with that eventually. But yeah, Russell Westbrook's defense, I feel like that's not being talked about enough because we don't think of him as one of the best defenders in the league, right? But no, he's been doing his thing on defense too. But going beyond this winning streak, just imagine what their record would be this month if Bradley Beal didn't miss any time. Because since March, they are 14-15, but Bradley Beal missed 7 games and the Wizards are 1-6 in those 7 games. With Bradley Beal, they were actually on an 11-game winning streak before losing to the Spurs. And weirdly enough, after Rui Hachimura missed the last 4 games, the game he came back is the game that they lost. As of now, the Wizards are the 10th seed in the East, like I said, and we're gonna go through the rest of their schedule now, see if they really can make it to the play-in tournament. Let's go through the schedule. So next game's against my Lakers, and Lakers did get a much needed win against the Magic, and Anthony Davis is still finding his rhythm. I'm not sure when exactly LeBron's going to be back, but like I did see that video of him running on the court in Dallas before the game and looking like he's almost ready to go. I'm not sure if he's going to be ready to go for the Wizards game, but if he is, that should give the Lakers a good chance. And yeah, of course, I do hope the Wizards lose that game. I'm sorry. Next, the Wizards have the Cavs. They should beat them no problem. Then the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks were on a 3-game winning streak. Well, with a shorthanded Lakers team though, because they're still without LeBron and Anthony Davis is still finding his rhythm. First of that game, he was on minutes restriction, but
The Mavs
just lost to the Kings. And the Mavericks also did beat the Pistons. I still say that the Mavericks should be favorites against the Wizards though. And then they can definitely beat a banged up Pacers team. And the Pacers are on a 3-game winning streak, but against 3 lottery teams. I don't think the Wizards are going to beat the Bucks though. The Raptors, that's definitely winnable. Then the Pacers again, not sure if Miles Turner or Domantas Sabonis will be back by then. Then 2 games against the Hawks, yeah, that's going to be really tough. The Hawks are playing really well right now. Then the Cavs and the Hornets to finish the season. Both very winnable games if the Hornets are not healthy by then. The Cavs though, of course, they should be able to beat, but the Hornets, if they get Gordon Hayward and LaMelo Ball back by then that could be a tough task for them. But I do think that the Wizards could make the play-in tournament. For them to hold on to it, well, right now their competitors are the Bulls and the Raptors, and yeah, I think that the Wizards are a much safer bet than the Bulls, and the Raptors, yeah, I think that the Wizards are a safer bet than the Raptors too. So I think that the Wizards are gonna make the play-in tournament, but of course they're gonna be a first round exit anyways. But regardless, I'm definitely impressed with the fact that the Wizards were able to not give up and able to fight through this adversity that they were going through early in the season. And Wizards fans, I think you should be proud of this team. So that's the end of this video. Please remember to like the video. Only takes 1 second. And if you're still here and you still haven't subscribed, I'm not sure what you're doing, but please subscribe. It'd really help out. And also, please remember to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. And I will see you next time.